So as we dig into session 5, we're going to be talking about something that hits really to the core of our hearts as girls. We're going to talk about humility. What is humility? Well, oftentimes we may think humility is something that has to do with our meekness. But really the definition of humility is that it has to do with a lack of pride and a lack of vanity. I don't know if you've heard about this term in social media that has been kind of leaking out, but the humble brag is something that I have enjoyed seeing and tracking on tweets and Instagram. It's when we kind of say something bad about ourselves to downplay the situation, but in reality, we're really bragging about ourselves. Like for instance, if I were a celebrity and I said, man, my hair looks horrible today on the red carpet as I receive my award. So there I've said, I look horrible, but it's in light of the fact that I'm on the red carpet receiving an award. That would be kind of a humble brag. This might be a little bit closer to home, and it's called the humble brag birthday post. This is what I see on social media. I'll see somebody who has a friend who is celebrating a birthday, and instead of just putting the best picture of the birthday girl possible, we find that we're actually putting the best picture of ourselves next to the birthday friend. And we're not really taking into consideration what the birthday friend might look like. So their hair might be across their face, but it's really a flattering picture of us. And so we have a montage of us celebrating our birthday friend and just a montage of our birthday friend not really looking the very best. That would be humble brag birthday posts. Social media has really started having us become obsessed with ourselves. We start sharing, this is what I'm eating. This is what I'm doing. This is who I was with. This is what I did last night. All of these things have started kind of becoming central to our lives, and we become obsessed with being the star of our own story. And in reality, that's not what life is all about. When you look at Isaiah 66, God tells us that one verse, he says, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. Well, what's that mean? It means that God is in control. He's on the throne. The story is about him. And it really talks about lordship. And one of the things that I've started seeing in our culture, especially within the church, is that we have a real hard problem with understanding who is Lord. Oftentimes we may say, yeah, Jesus is Lord and Savior of my life. But in reality, we're still putting ourselves on the throne. When you start looking at lordship, you start looking at maybe some earthly kingdoms. When you look at kingdoms, oftentimes earthly kings and queens will have something that is on their head to denote that they're in charge. That would be a crown or a tiara. Those things denote that they're the king of that situation. I started thinking about our own lives. Oftentimes we have our own crowns, our own tiaras. We start putting ourselves in charge of different things. We start saying that our identity and our significance and our purpose are found in people, places, and things other than Christ. And we kind of crown those things in our life. When you look at Revelation 4, the very end of the story, do you know what is said about the crowns that we wear? It's said that we'll toss those crowns to the foot of Jesus. That's what we do with crowns at the very end of the story. We acknowledge that they don't have any power, they don't have any authority. The one who's in charge and is on the throne is Christ. He is Lord of all. When you start looking at humility, you realize that humility is the opposite of pride. And when we start having pride in our life, that's where we start thinking we're in charge. We are essentially saying that we're Lord of that moment. And that's a very dangerous place to be, especially when we start looking at our relationships, we start looking at our plans and our future for our life. If you think about it, it's extremely dangerous to say, you know what, God, you don't know what is the best for me. You don't know why this relationship probably needs to happen. You don't know why I need to do this with my life. And so we take that ownership and that lordship back from him for those moments. And that's when we start seeing destruction and just lots of different things enter our life that God would not have planned for us to have in our life at that time. You're going to be studying about King David and how he began to move in a path where humility was exchanged for pride, and sin started entering into his story. And as a result, he's constantly battling this pattern and addiction and story of destruction. And so as we look at what it looks like to have Jesus as Lord of our life, we're going to celebrate a life that lives in humility. We're going to celebrate what it looks like in Colossians 3:12 to get up in the morning and clothe ourselves with humility. See, girls, that's the outfit that we really need to be looking forward to. We want to look forward to clothing ourselves with a day-to-day lifestyle of humility and surrender to Christ. So let's dig into that today.